Back in Christmas of 2009, my wife and I realized that our grandson was in an immediate crisis stage. And after we returned home, we were talking about what do we do, where do we go? We really didn't know what kind of resources that we could access because we had a grandson who was failing in school, hanging with the wrong friends, into the goth environment. To our knowledge, had not been involved in any sort of behavior which would have caused any sort of involvement with the law. So through casual conversation, my wife came into contact with a lady that she knows well, who was born and raised in the New London area, and mentioned, how about Rawhide? So we knew nothing about Rawhide other than that's where you give your car when it isn't needed anymore. I also remembered that through my earlier years, I had a client that I serviced in the West Bend area whose son had been in Rawhide and since is an adult. So my wife proceeded to do her research from an educational standpoint as to what was available education-wise. Meanwhile, Roger, who now is in San Antonio, Texas, running a very successful business, I put a call into him, and he returned my call the following day. And I says, Roger, you were up in Rawhide. You spent a couple of years up there. I have an issue with my grandson. He needs some assistance and help. You were at Rawhide. What do you think of the place? I'm concerned because I have the impression that most of the boys there are ones that are referred by the penal system and have had some very challenging experiences. Do I want to expose my grandson to that type of environment? And I don't believe it was more than 2 sentences he says. Jerry, have no fear. I can guarantee you from what you've told me about your grandson, it's what he needs. Had it not been for Rawhide, I'd probably be serving time someplace. And here I am, 42 years old, doing very well with a wife and 2 children. We then proceeded to take that under advisement, did a few further checking, came up, visited the campus after my wife called, brought our grandson up for an interview with the intake staff and met some of the other staff. And it became apparent immediately that there was no concern in our mind that this was the type of faith-based, family-oriented environment that our grandson needed. And he voluntarily elected to be placed up here in the About Face program. David went on after being in About Face for 5 months, coming out having learned some of the life skills and the structures that were taught up here and the loving environment, and it truly was an About Face. He realized that it was a positive, good experience for him. He went back, he went into school, finished his senior year successfully and graduated. He has made a commitment that he will attend technical college starting next month, so we're crossing our fingers and praying every night for that to happen. You can definitely see the gain of respect, accountability, and responsibility that have come about.